Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in to Inside Arkansas Live. Two-man crew today, but at least you got the Stallions. Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis here with you. And folks, as we speak, our good friend John Neighbors is he's going under. They're giving him the laughing gas right now. He's finally getting that pesky tooth taken care of. So T's and P's to John Neighbors, who will allegedly join us at some point in this show. We'll see about all that. I dropped him off at the dentist a few minutes ago, but here we are. We're live out at Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue in Fayetteville. And listen, they got everything you need. Apparel, merch. If it's anything Razorback related, whatever your wildest dreams come up with, they literally have it here. So come out here and get swagged up. It's a big weekend. Andrew, my man, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. The vibes are very good. The weather, pretty good, which is always
Solid.
a tone setter. You know, it's about 70 degrees. It's windy. It's very windy outside. So, you know, the small folk might fly away, but it feels great outside. It's good baseball weather. Can't wait to get to Bomb later today, but it's just a good vibe for the weekend overall. Anytime you have a home game on Saturday in any sport like basketball, football, there's just kind of a buzz. And I'm excited for the weekend. Got the parents in town. You got to meet my folks earlier.
Yeah,
which
man.
I don't know why you had never met my parents. We've been coworkers for like 5 years now.
I like to call us friends.
I wouldn't even go as far as to call us friends as well either. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. But yeah, it's just the vibes are good right now. You can tell Arkansas, the University of Arkansas is going to rack up a bunch of dubs this weekend. You can feel it in the air.
Yeah, I think I do feel that. Yeah, my vibes are high too. We've mixed it up a little here. I mean, here I am rocking the baseball jersey. This is the uni for today, right? That is
what we're getting. If you know, the equipment manager guy, Mark Taylor,
yeah,
tweets out stuff. I believe
he got it right.
I think he tweeted out that jersey, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, you got the double O's rocking for the Razorback whites there. I like it. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Little Mike Washington, little Kai Madden, little Rashad Madden.
Yeah, there we go.
You know?
There we go. Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, again, folks, we're out here at Alumni Hall, and again, if you need Razorback gear, and you all do, if you're listening to this show, you're either a Razorback fan or a Kentucky fan, oddly enough. But come out here and get some swag, man. I mean, they literally have everything. They've got all the cool brands. Looking at to my left over here, there's this rack of Columbia polos, quarter zips, everything they got going on. It's solid, man. They got a little bit of everything. They got onesies if you're having a kid. They got pillows if you need something to sleep on. They got anything you need to put on your back if you need clothes. So come out here and hang out with us. Give us John calls it knuckles. I think I'm more of a fist bump guy.
Yeah.
Just come out here and see us. Give us a fist bump. Get whatever you need to get. Hogs by 20. You see it at the top there. That's the promo code. It'll get you 20% off your deal here. So come check it out. But let's get into it, man. We got, like you said, some big stuff. It's a big weekend in Fayetteville basketball, man. I mean, this is you know, it's not like the number one team in the country coming in here in Mississippi State. Arkansas obviously not ranked either, but this feels like the biggest game we've had in Fayetteville for a while because the stakes are so high in this one. You got Mississippi State coming to town, woohoo, whatever. But for Arkansas, it's pretty cut and dry. Win and you're in for the NCAA tournament. I wonder if do you feel pressure about it? I'm a little nervous about it. I wonder how the team feels about it. It's an 11 a.m. tip-off at Bud Walton Arena tomorrow.
Well, regardless of whether or not they will end up needing this win tomorrow or what, the vibe is going to be a lot better tomorrow, and it's a lot better today because of what Arkansas was able to accomplish on Tuesday, getting a huge, I wouldn't say a signature win, but another marquee win on the resume on the road at Vanderbilt. It definitely put Arkansas in a much more stable position. I feel like there would be a little hint of anxiety in the air had Arkansas not gotten that, because we kind of went into the week saying you got to get one. They got their one. And so kind of like when I think the last time we were here, they were about to play Alabama that Saturday, and they had just beaten, I guess it would have been Texas in the Moody Center.
Yep.
And so we were kind of like, we had that same kind of vibe where we were like, you've done the hard work this week. Now you can just have fun and enjoy this. And really I think this fan base, that's what they need, because it's been a weird roller coaster season for everyone, for the team and the fan base included. Bud Walton Crowd Arena has been such a popular topic. We've talked about that more this year than probably any other. Hasn't always been peak Bud Walton. I think this weekend it's going to be a really good crowd, and it's just going to be a good tone setter for March. I mean, we're obviously in the month of March. As this Razorback team, this is the Razorback fans' last chance to see this team off before they go on their journey,
Embrace
which will
it.
go through Nashville and maybe through Dayton, maybe through Seattle. Who knows? But it's just going to be one last chance for us to all get in Bud Walton Arena, have a really good time, have a good vibe, which we really haven't had a chance to do a ton this year. Haven't been a ton of marquee home wins, but we've also just spent so much of the year panicking. Is this team going to figure it out? Are they going to win enough games to get in the tournament? Are they going to the NIT? What's going to happen? Is who's out, who's not? Tomorrow, let's just have fun. If Arkansas wins, of course, like you said, would clinch NCAA tournament status. That's a lot of fun. That's enough to get you in the door. But it's also the last time for this Razorback fan base to show this team what Bud Walton's all about.
Yeah, and it should be buzzing. They need it. You know, John Calipari was out on the recruiting trail last night. He was checking out Darius Acuff and his game down there, but he called in to his radio show at Sassy's. One time he did that from was it like George Steinbrenner's office or something? He was at the World Series, something weird, but yeah, called from the road, and he was imploring the fans like, "Hey, show up and show out. We need you." And they do. Like I'm putting the onus on Bud Walton Arena to create some energy. Like get up, get your coffee, have your Wheaties, whatever. These dudes don't play well early in the morning. They do not play well before noon. They do not play well really before sundown. Is what we've kind of learned about this group. The Tennessee game to start SEC play was an early tip. That didn't go well. Florida was a mid-afternoon, but you blew a lead and you wound up losing that one. And then we had Texas A&M, South Carolina, and so here you go. Now it's at home. The beauty of this is if it was the combination a couple weeks ago of an early tip and a home game, I'd be thinking Arkansas screwed.
Yeah.
They've been playing a lot better at home lately. Got the big win over Missouri, beat Texas, and I think to your point earlier, it took a while, I think, for the fan base to kind of figure these guys out. Like, who are they? Are they good? Can they play? What's really going on here? Who do we cheer for? Who's going to be out there? Are they going to make the tournament? Are they not? It feels like they've really endeared themselves to this fan base, because if there's one thing Razorback fans appreciate, it's a group of scrappy, hard-nosed dudes who, maybe are down for the count a little bit, short on numbers, and they're just rallying together and doing some pretty good stuff. And they did that at Vanderbilt, and I think people are going to show up and show out for them.
Another key thing here is you get that extra day of rest. So you combine that with the lessened anxiety from, you helping your resume a good bit, plus the home crowd who now loves you. We've had a couple good crowds here at Bud Walton Arena. I think this crowd will be a lot more receptive to the Razorbacks here this weekend, and it's going to be a good one. Based on everything my expert analysis is my buddies that go to games are saying that they're having a tough time getting tickets. And so it's like, that's always a good sign. But I think you combine all these factors, Arkansas getting the extra day of rest, the fact that they still have something to play for, but there's not a ton of pressure, I feel like lobs them up to have a good little performance. And I just think it'll help this team that is, of course, playing with 7 guys. That's still going to be a huge challenge for this team, but you kind of need all of those factors to go your way. I mean, we saw last Saturday how it could when all those factors are against you and there's still a ton of pressure and you're coming off a short rest, it can break a team that has a 7-man rotation. So I think Arkansas is going to be much more equipped to handle this early afternoon tip, definitely than they were last weekend. Let's just set the bar there for tomorrow. It's got to be better than last weekend. We got to have more fun than we did when this team played in Columbia.
Yeah, bare minimum. Like, we're setting the bar pretty low for you. It's not going to be that hard to surpass it. Let's talk about the opponent, though, because they are playing a team who's coming in. This is really interesting because I don't know how many people in our fan base watch a lot of Mississippi State basketball. You probably just think about what you've seen before when they played Arkansas, and whether it was under Ben Howland or now Chris Jans, they've always been slowed down pace, grind you out games in the 50s and 60s. They usually can't shoot, but they play tough, physical defense. This ain't your typical Chris Jans team. We were talking about it before we went live here, and they're good. I mean, they're already an NCAA tournament lock. So from that standpoint, I don't know what they have to play for. However, if Arkansas beats Mississippi State, they're going to be ahead of them in the SEC standings, so they'll have a better seeding in the tournament for whatever they care about that over there. I don't know. But they got off to such a hot start. They were 14-1 to open the year, and they were just beating the brakes off some teams, and they've really come back down to earth in SEC play. And so here they are at 8-9 or whatever it is, and they've taken some tough losses, been scuffling a little bit here lately. The defense ain't what it once was, and for a while they were getting the offense to make up for it, which is how I think he was trying to build a roster. But now they're struggling there too. They're shooting under 30% from 3 in SEC play. They're not getting to the free throw line that much. They've got a superstar in Josh Hubbard who can do the Trey Johnson thing if you don't watch out. So eyes on that. But outside of that, they've struggled to score a little bit. So it's going to be a little bit of a different look from Mississippi State coming in here.
It's a little weird how, like you mentioned, these two teams are almost neck and neck in terms of, Mississippi State's a little bit more comfortable in terms of NCAA tournament, but in terms of the conference standings, Arkansas wins. They're in the same situation there, but they've gotten here in such different ways. Where Arkansas has been really good in stretches and really bad in stretches, have just this wide variety. Mississippi State, like you said, they had the quick start, but they're pretty average. They've been pretty kind of throughout conference play. Haven't gotten too high, haven't gotten too low. I think they started 2-0 and then immediately dropped 2. And then since then have kind of hovered around 500 the entire time, never really going on a run, but never really falling apart. And so it's kind of interesting how these two teams that are in a similar situation got here in such different ways. I also think that the identity of Mississippi State, because you mentioned Chris Jans. When we think of Chris Jans, we just immediately, our skin crawls because we're like, 45 points. They're gonna really rough it up on the defensive end. They're going to make this game ugly, but it's going to be tough to beat them. And it's a defense that travels and all that. And like you said, it's not really that situation. I think a lot of times we watch teams, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, and we focus on what they're not. And so I think there's been a ton of Mississippi State fans over the last couple of years who have watched them play good defense and think, man, I like the defense, but man, I really wish we could score. Really wish we could get out and run a little bit. Maybe that would be what would be better for us. Mississippi State, to your point, is doing that a little bit. And it hasn't exactly led to the well-rounded overall team. Now it kind of feels like a team that is, fine offensively, but not, kind of also fine defensively. And in college basketball, it's kind of tough to win consistently against top competition if you don't do one thing really well. And this Arkansas team, weirdly enough, who would have thought, 2 months ago when we were having this conversation about Arkansas, Mississippi State, that Arkansas would be the defense that you feel more confident in. But going into this matchup against Mississippi State, I feel like Arkansas is the better defensive team. The variance offensively is always going to be there with Arkansas. It's not like either team's a juggernaut, but just kind of at home, the better defense, got the crowd behind them, a little bit more to play for. Like, I think there's a lot that favors Arkansas in this matchup for sure.
Yeah, it's really not a bad matchup comparatively speaking. And it's crazy because I think about at times where worse Mississippi State teams have come into Bud Walton Arena and played better Arkansas teams and beaten them. That's happened recently, and it was really frustrating to watch. And this is kind of the exact opposite situation here. But just to look at Mississippi State, man, on the road this year, they've won some games on the road. They won at South Carolina, which Arkansas didn't do that. They won at Georgia. They won at Ole Miss. They swept Ole Miss, which is kind of impressive. They also won at Vanderbilt, so they've won 4 road games. They've also lost 4 road games, but they've lost 3 out of 4 here. And they went and got beat at Oklahoma, which, in my opinion, you just shouldn't do, even though Missouri just did that. They got their doors blown. They nearly got 40 balled by Alabama. 38-point loss. They gave up 111 points in that game, and then they lost at home the other day to Texas. So, and the only win that's kind of mixed in there is at home against LSU. So they've been scuffling a little bit, man, in the last couple weeks here coming into Bud Walton Arena. I don't know if I'm a struggling basketball team, if that's the environment that I want to walk into and see if I can figure it out.
Yeah, and I see our buddy Hazelwood here says that Hubbard's away splits are dramatically worse. Like you mentioned, it's not like their record on the road is horrible. They've actually had some pretty decent performances that have aged well, like the Vanderbilt win. At the time, we probably didn't think much of that. In hindsight, we celebrated winning in Nashville like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But I do think that's interesting. And again, I come back to the lack of identity from this Mississippi State team a little bit. In years past, when you play defense the way they do, that travels. It's kind of easy to know, hey, no matter what arena we're in, we're going to be clamping up. And I mean, they came in and won in Bud Walton Arena. I guess would that have been Jans's first year?
Yeah.
I
think they beat them back-to-back years. But
a worse Mississippi State team came into Bud Walton and won. I think this team is a little bit better overall, can definitely score a little bit better, and they have a guy in Hubbard that you really fear. But I think it's a little bit harder for me to believe that they're going to come into Bud Walton in what should be a peak Bud Walton, and they're really going to clamp up the Razorbacks because they haven't been playing defense like that on the road.
Big opportunity, man, for Arkansas. You got to take advantage of this one. You really do. Because while we say win and you're in, it's not a lose and you're out situation. It just muddies things up a little bit. Like you're starting to sweat on your forehead a little bit when you go into Nashville, and you probably need to win your game on Wednesday. But I mean, looking at Joe Lunardi's updated bracketology that he put out a couple hours ago, he's got Arkansas right there in that last 4 buys. And what that means is you're one of the last teams in the field, but you avoid going to Dayton. Like, you're not in those stupid play-in games. I like that. So if Arkansas loses to Mississippi State, you don't want that at home, but they're a really good team. It's a quad 2 opportunity now, but if Mississippi State wins, they'll bump up in the net, so it'll actually be a quad 1 loss. You know how that stuff works. Yeah. Anyway, you probably drop to that last 4 in going into the SEC tournament, and then you're watching everybody else, right? What happens with this Oklahoma-Texas game this weekend? Does North Carolina lose to Duke by 30 again like they should? then you're really, really doing the bubble watch thing. You win, and then you're kind of thinking about seeding going into Nashville, which is cool. But yeah, he's got Arkansas in the last 4 byes. Let's just look at this bracket real quick and see. Let me pull. Okay, so all right, how about this? So he's got Arkansas as an 11 seed facing 6 seed St. Mary's.
I wouldn't hate it.
And then the winner of Wisconsin and Chattanooga. These games would be played in Milwaukee, so you'd have a round of 32 in Wisconsin against Wisconsin. That would kind of suck.
That would kind of suck, but I gotta say, among all the options, I mean, and of course, it's going to fluctuate every day between now and March. I wouldn't hate the trip to Milwaukee. Not terribly far away. I've never been to Milwaukee, but it seems like an okay city. I wouldn't hate it.
I mean, we were at the
cheese.
Yeah, some curds. We're big curds guys. So, but no, I mean, seriously, when we were at the Chase Center, like Steph is in there hanging out and everything. A couple years ago, Giannis just just be hanging out.
That would be pretty cool
in Milwaukee. I don't know if Bobby Portis is allowed in the facility or not, but if he was, that'd be cool.
I didn't even think about the Bobby aspect. That would be awesome. Yeah,
man.
By the way, a city that's really embraced Bobby. One thing, give Milwaukee their credit. I've never been there. I don't know much about the area, but they love Bobby in Milwaukee. They chant his name in the playoffs. I think that'd be pretty cool for Hog fans to infiltrate there and kind of win over some of those guys.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think the X factor is for Arkansas in this game? I mean, we know the drill. You got 7 players, and we'll see if anything changes on the availability report when it comes out tonight. I don't necessarily anticipate that it will, but going into this, Cal's going to say, well, you got to get something from everybody, and we know that. But like, who really needs to be good? Like, who needs to be the man? Who needs to have the big game for the Razorbacks in this one?
It's weird to call this guy an X factor because he's maybe Arkansas's most consistent in terms of production and just kind of, not even in a good way, just kind of does the same thing, about 10 points, 4 assists per game. I'm going DJ Wagner here. Mostly because, again, he's kind of the guy we always forget about. We always talk about, who's injured and who's doing this. Is Nelly going to get going? Is Thero going to get going? Is Big Z going to get going? What can Adu give us anything? We never really talk about DJ Wagner. And for that reason, that he's kind of just a consistent, what you're getting from him. But I feel like we've seen a lot of times in Arkansas's best performances all year, he has that innate ability to just kind of know, hey, it's my time. The Hogs need me to kind of score here. Or, hey, I really need to get this guy going. He seems to have a good pulse on, like his finger on the pulse of what this team needs at all times. And sometimes what the team need is for you to make sure Trevin doesn't yell at the coach and get teed up or whatever. Like, he does all those little things for Arkansas. And I think at home, in what's going to be a pretty wild atmosphere where you can kind of get your adrenaline going a little bit, you're really excited to be in Bud Walton, final home game of the year. I think DJ is going to be a steadying force for Arkansas, and I agree with our buddy Hazelwood. I don't know if there's ever really a good, easy way to defend Josh Hubbard, but I would imagine DJ Wagner is going to be potentially getting that task a little bit. Carter Knox is another guy who I think is going to matter defensively for sure, and he's another guy that's kind of always steady, giving you that 10 to 12 points. I think either one of those guys, if they can get that maybe a little bit of an elevated version, maybe 15 to 18 points from either of those guys, would be a big deal.
And I saw a tweet earlier, and I can't remember who put it out there, and I wish I had it, but it was something along the lines of when DJ Wagner hits multiple threes, Arkansas is 10-1 or something like. And I feel like that's so true for a team that's kind of starved for shooting. And yeah, I like the Wagner aspect of it. I just remember him being scoreless at halftime against Vanderbilt, and we were thinking, man, if he could just kind of get to his average, Arkansas is cooking here. And then he has 14 in the second half. I remember him being scoreless at halftime at Kentucky. And we were thinking the same thing. We were going to the concession stand. We were like, man, if DJ would just kind of wind up at his norms, that'd be cool.
We were saying that at the pisser. You remember?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's what it was. Concession stand. I mean, same, like.
I just vividly remember having that conversation in the bathroom at Lexington. We were like, man, DJ's got to get going. He's playing like garbage. And then he got going.
Yeah. Second half DJ is a thing, man. But yeah, you need all those guys to get going. I would like to see like Trevor Brazil stat games. I mean, he was so good against Texas, really, really bad against South Carolina. Everybody was, right? But then he was really good again at Vanderbilt, and he's going to have an interesting matchup because they're going to have Cam Matthews, who's he's kind of like their version of – he's really their Draymond Green, honestly. Like, he's 6'7", 230. He kind of reminds me of, like, Kentucky Adu Thero because he's not as gifted of a scorer, but he's a guy who leads them in rebounding, almost leads them in steals. He leads them in assist at the 4 spot. So that's a tricky matchup.
He was at SEC Media Days, right?
He was
he's probably
a
little bit
Media
of that
Days.
like heartbeat of the team type of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and so Trevin's going to have to step up and be good in that matchup because it could get tricky. Like when they go with the 2 big lineup, like Jonas guarding him could be a tough one if you're going small. Carter maybe, but I think it's going to need to be a big game from Trevin. He's going to have to give you 30, 35 minutes and play well for sure.
Here's my question to you, Curtis.
Okay.
Should Arkansas maybe silence Carter Knox a little bit as to not scare off Nate Ament? Because I feel like if Carter Knox is out there balling, really takes over a lead scoring role, and he's looking like the if you can get him back next year, he's going to be the go-to wing. I think that might scare off Nate Ament a little bit while he's in town checking out the squad.
Maybe. You want to come in here and compete with a dog. So
I'm saying, but maybe Carter plays well enough to end up in that draft talk. But if I'm Nate Ament, I'm probably looking. I'm like, man, that guy, he kind of might do what I do a little bit. Like he might be a little bit. I mean, they're a little bit different players, but still, I just wonder if there might be some competition there.
Yeah, no,
maybe same for DJ too.
All right, folks, we're gonna get to your chats, and before we do that, though, I'll remind you again, we're out here at Alumni Hall. Come check it out. Come see us. I ain't got a fist bump yet. I don't know what's going on. It's kind of crazy, but
no, we just had the one guy hang out before the show.
Yeah, we had somebody in here earlier, and that's good to see. But yeah, come in here, man. Get your Razorback gear. Are you going to the basketball game tomorrow? You need something to wear. You going to the baseball games this weekend? You need something to wear.
You got to be wearing this. You got to be getting that Kai Madden. You got to be getting that Mike Washington.
Hogs by 20, man. Take advantage of the promo code for sure. But let's see what we got going on in the chat. We got a handful of these things stored. Okay, just a heads up. On Horatio, it says, Andrew, hook us up with the go-to props for the game today. We're going to get there.
Yeah.
Have you looked at them yet?
No, I have looked at them. There's not a ton that I really like. A lot of times it's tough to find the good one. You're not always going to have the Colin Fisher ATM type of situation.
Sure.
But I like Ryder Helfrich. I think he's like plus 325 to hit a home run. I like that.
For it. Okay.
You don't want to. Anytime they like have multiple things where it's like he's got to have 2 hits and 2 RBI or two hits and 2 runs or whatever, or 2 walks. I'm like, that's a lot to ask. Ryder Helfrich hit the ball over the fence. That's a lot. I can get behind that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Will says, what do we think about Artel, the guy from Lebanon? It was funny because right as we were getting ready to get started, we see the Joe Tipton tweet, and apparently Arkansas basketball is in the Final Four for a 6'9", 20-year-old forward from Lebanon. Not Lebanon, Missouri, or Lebanon, Tennessee, but Lebanon, the country. And he's been playing pro ball over in Lithuania. I think it was Arkansas, SMU, Butler, and Penn State, maybe, were the Final Four there, which is an interesting group of possibilities there. I know nothing about this kid. Like, I've never heard his name before until 5 minutes before the show started. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I'm looking forward to checking out some tape.
You weren't tapped in on the Lithuanian, the league they had going on?
Yeah, I've been missing out on the Lithuanian league. I've been watching the Italian league. I've been watching the Luigi guy that was visiting Illinois and everything, but I haven't been tapped in on the Lithuanian pro leagues here,
is this LaMelo Ball's influence? Because you remember he went and played in Lithuania instead of going to UCLA. So maybe this guy grew up watching LaMelo Ball and was like, you know what? I want to go play in America like that young man.
He's probably rocking the Big Baller brand shoes that ruined Lonzo's career. And I bet LeVar's his agent.
Yeah,
so.
You watch the kid play and you're like, man, he's good. Imagine what he's going to be when he has real shoes on, when he has real Nikes. He might even be better.
Yeah, but no, to answer your question, I don't know yet. I mean, it's a little bit too early to tell. I'm looking forward to checking out some film and reaching out to some folks about him just to see what this is all about. And that's kind of the way it is with some of these international guys, because until somebody brings it to our attention, I don't know how you really identify those guys. So I'm intrigued though, because we know Arkansas is going to be in the market for probably quite a bit of front court help. So transfer portal, international man of mystery, John Calipari, or Chin Coleman. I don't know who's out there. Chuck Martin, is he the international guy? But
yeah, I wonder how that relationship was formed. That's definitely unique, and it's weird that he's gonna be 20 years old.
Yeah,
coming over. So, I mean, maybe even 21 at different points during the season. Like, it's kind of interesting. It's definitely gonna be a fascinating experiment, regardless of where he ends up. Like that'll be cool to watch. We still do feel like they're gonna need like just that big. Like I'd be way more excited if he were like 6'11", 260, just a big old stout unit,
Yeah, what does 6'9" mean? So is he like a forward that can space it and shoot it? I don't know.
Right.
I gotta look into it.
Give me a fat Slovenian or a fat Serbian, that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah, literally either one of those would be that would be ideal. So we did get an update from John Neighbors. This was a little bit ago. He said, hitting the gas as we speak. Woo pig, fellas. Shout out Alumni Hall. Shout out Alumni Hall for sure. And just so I came back here, John, and you're not listening to this now, you're unconscious, but I told John's story to everybody because they were giving him a hard time when I dropped him off about, hey, like you have a driver. And so he called me and was like, hey man, do you mind just popping back in? That way they know I have a driver. And then when I got there, He was like, "Oh man, get back to Alumni Hall and do the show because they're kind of giving me a hard time because they need someone there from start to finish. Like they need to know that there's a ride there and I have a ride afterwards." And so I came back here to Alumni Hall and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with John." They were offering up employees to just go sit in and watch over John Neighbors and get him back here safe and sound. So good people here at Alumni Hall, and in addition to their good merch.
Yeah, John was he was hurt that he couldn't be here now during this show.
Yeah.
Stephanie was giving him a hard time. She's like, "Oh, he really wants to be here, but it'll be fine." So you guys are the stars anyway. I don't need him. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be all right. Caleb wants to know how John's getting home. Well, that was gonna be me. So now I don't know it. I mean, if they kick him out of the dentist's office, is he gonna be coherent enough to catch an Uber? He said something about a family member might bring him here. Allegedly, that this is only going to be about a half-hour procedure for him, and then they're going to let him go. And he's trying to come in here.
I hope he comes in here with the cotton mouth and everything. I got all this
drooling everywhere. Half of his face is droopy.
Trying to talk, it'll be great.
Yeah, it would be electric for sure. Hunt OZK says, "Will he's talking about Mississippi State big men push us around like South Carolina?" The possibility's there, but this is again, it's a little bit of a different Mississippi State team. Like Tolu Smith ain't here anymore, so that guy's not going to be around here to do it. They've got a couple good players. Keyshawn Murphy, Nwoko transferred from Miami. Big boys, like they're both 6'10", 235, 240. So they've got that in them. I hope not, though. I hope not. It's like Mississippi State hasn't been necessarily killing it on the glass. They got some good rim protection. For me, like Jonas he'll be fine in there because he just kind of is what he is at this point. They don't play those two guys together. For me, it's about how Big Z wins that matchup. How does he handle the physicality? Can he stay out of foul trouble? And can he knock down some threes?
Also, I got to be honest with you. I mean, it's happened. Obviously, the South Carolina game is an example, but like a lot of times when we see teams try and do that, where they like really attack Arkansas on the interior with big men, it usually leads to them not scoring a crazy amount. Kentucky probably scored the most doing it with that Amari Williams kid or whatever, but Arkansas was kind of content to let that matchup play out.
That's right.
I mean, what did South Carolina end up with points by 72? The 72-53?
Yeah.
So it's like, it was, obviously Arkansas got blown out. It was, it's not what you want to replicate, but it's not like South Carolina was getting good possession after good possession offensively. Like they went through a stretch there where it was kind of ugly. So it's like, I feel like if you're Arkansas, you should almost kind of encourage Mississippi State to play that way rather than Josh Hubbard. I was going to say, your ass, you know what I mean? Like
if he gets the ball out of Hubbard's hands, sign me up for that. And in that South Carolina game, Pringle had a great game, and that irritated me from start to finish. He had 18, and he's not really a scorer. So they did get bullied by him. Colin Murray Boyles, it was just a matchup nightmare.
And
he's a 4.
He's a bully ball. He's a bully ball player. He bullies a lot of folks.
But I will point out, like if they do want to go in there and try him, Arkansas is top 10 in the country in block percentage. I mean, they are one of the best rim protecting teams in the country, and usually that coincides fairly well with physicality. They've been better about keeping teams off the offensive glass, but again, it's weird. Mississippi State, like the big guys will get on the offensive boards a little bit. Matthews will get on the offensive boards a little bit, but it's not your typical Mississippi State team where that's just their identity. So it's going to be a little bit of a different look when we see them come in here tomorrow for sure. What we got here? HH says, I guess he's doing what Kentucky fans do to us. He's tuning into KSR. He says your friends at KSR were saying they did not want to see the Hogs in the SEC tourney.
I'm glad they're honest because their fans were spouting some of that. Oh, hope we see you guys in Nashville. I think now that Kentucky is, if they lose tomorrow, which they're favored, they're projected to, right? Mm-hmm. Like Missouri's favored in that game. They would be 9-9 in SEC play. Now that I think they've realized that they're actually not like a juggernaut, I don't think they necessarily are dying to see that matchup, especially because then if Arkansas beats them in Nashville,
what is there left to say?
We would have to claim them as a dependent on our taxes. You know what I mean? Like it'd be tough.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, they were resurfacing some yesterday. It was getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
Like Arkansas announces the Duke game on Thanksgiving, and everybody's just like, "Oh, wow! I remember when we used to get excited for big games and just get let down." Right? And I'm just thinking, why would we not be excited about this? There's no reason not to be excited about this game. And it's like, oh, you should see Calipari. Calipari won at Madison Square Garden this year. He literally did it this season.
Literally, yeah.
And Kentucky lost in their little classic to Ohio State. So, look in the mirror. Could you imagine? They're 9-8 right now in SEC play. under Mark Pope year 1. They're getting ready to build him a statue. Could you imagine if John Calipari was there right now and he was 9-8 in SEC play?
Oh my God,
Oh,
it'd be crazy. They would
witness
literally
protection,
be
man.
100%. And I think what Kentucky is struggling with is they're still Kentucky's obviously a historic program that's always going to have some type of shine around it. But I think when Cal came to town, I think they realized that they just don't have that star power anymore. And the roster, weirdly enough, is not a star-studded roster anymore. They're kind of just a different program, and I think that's going to really bug them. That Arkansas is going to continue to get these big national TV prime time. I mean, Thanksgiving, Duke, like that's like Cal said, going to be the most watched game of the year, or whatever. We'll see if he ends up being right about that, but I think that's going to definitely continue to be a soft spot for Kentucky fans because they see how much attention Arkansas continues to get with Cal and how much Cal continues to get attention. Because I think there was a decent portion of them. Most smart people understand how the world works in Lexington, but there was a decent portion of their fan base that thought Cal's going to go leave Kentucky and no one's ever going to care about him again.
Right.
And that's just very much not the case.
No, you're exactly right. Let's see from Pooh Bear's back. He says their game plan will be to get Big Z and Adu on the perimeter, make them move their feet. They're going to attack the paint early on. Would love to see us start out in the zone and make them shoot us out. Arkansas unequivocally 1,000% is not going to start in the zone. They might show some zone. They did against South Carolina when the wheels came off there. But that's still like a break glass in case of emergency kind of thing for Cal, or if they get in big foul trouble, they might do it. They won't start in it. And I mean, they might try to attack Trevin off the dribble at the 4 position, but I wouldn't necessarily call their big men overly guard skilled. Like they're athletic, and so maybe they can put it on the deck and drive it a little bit. But if I'm Big Z, if I'm the staff, I'm telling him just camp out in the lane, bro.
That's kind of where I was at too. Yeah. And again, it goes back to if that's how they want to attack you by taking the ball out of their guards' hands and kind of forcing their bigs to take you off the dribble. I don't know if that's necessarily the brand of basketball Mississippi State is itching to play necessarily. And so I think it would be kind of counterproductive. And so I'm with you. I'd be almost daring them like, yeah, go ahead and see. I mean, and they would definitely have their buckets. I mean, Big Z and Jonas, definitely not like Fort Knox down there at the rim, but we've seen in a lot of these matchups here, a lot of Arkansas's best wins, they're able to get some stops here at the rim. And Z at times is an unreal rim protector. And so, like you said, he's hanging out in the lane. If you can get him to kind of stay around there, I don't think he would get baited into. I don't think Mississippi State's big men, like you say, are going to really threaten Arkansas that much to where he's going to have to leave the lane and like go guard out on the perimeter. I think if Mississippi State wants to go that route, let them.
Yeah, and they're shooting 28.6% from 3 in SEC play, so no need to overextend too much. And I think it's about 70% of their 3-point volumes come from 2 guys. It's Hubbard and another kid there on the perimeter. So not a lot of balance in that shooting either. 4-Star Sports Media. Would you go on with them today?
I did go on with them today. I had a good time
cool.
with
cool.
Wes Pruitt. We did a little baseball talk.
I like that. Yeah, we're in similar situations, so a lot of respect for those guys over there. But
the Outlaws got to stick together, man. The bad boys got to stick together.
That's exactly right. It says, how do you see Arkansas defending the talented Josh Hubbard? He can score. Yes, he can score. I hope that they defend him better than they defended Trey Johnson. The beauty of it is Hubbard is what, 5'10", 5'11", or something, and you've got Trey Johnson who was 6'6", and that complicated things. You got to run him off the 3-point line as much as you can. You have to be matched up with him in transition because he'll shoot NBA range transition threes. He has no conscience about like what's a good shot and what's a bad shot, but he's a big time shot maker. So they're going to be stuck on him. I would pick sometimes to blow up ball screens, just double ball screens and get it out of his hands a little bit. Make those other guys beat you. Like if RJ Melendez is going to hit 6 threes and beat you, well, so be it. If Riley Kugel is going to do that, so be it. But you can't let Hubbard be the guy that comes in and puts 40 on you and beats you in your own home gym.
Yeah, I agree that this is a dangerous thing, and watching what Trey Johnson did kind of puts you on edge about that. But I think this is a little bit better of a matchup for Arkansas.
It is.
Nelly Davis I would never describe him as like a plus defender necessarily, like a difference maker. But one thing he is good about is blowing up ball screens, like you said, and kind of playing those lanes up at the top of the perimeter. Now, people can get by him. And so if Hubbard were a guy that's a, get to the rim 15 times a game type of guard, that would scare that kind of matchup scares me because I don't think Nelly would hold up well in that situation. But I mean, Nelly's got enough length to kind of bother some shots of his ultimately guys like this, they're going to take and make tough shots.
Yes.
And you kind of just have to be willing to live with that a little bit. Nelly's got some length on the perimeter contest. Carter Knox is a body that probably won't get thrown at him a ton. Like this isn't the type of guard that you're going to be like, hey, Knox, you go out there and really body him up. Cause I do think that it's just a little bit different skill set. But I think Arkansas's got a different collection. I mean, DJ, when he really locks in, can get in some guys' shorts defensively. I think Arkansas's got enough bodies to kind of throw at him to contest some of those shots on the perimeter. He's going to make some tough shots, and you just have to live with it. But it's a little bit kind of like the Wade Taylor type of matchup.
Yeah,
and I thought Arkansas defended Wade Taylor pretty well for the most part.
They did, yeah. They put him on the free throw line too much, and Hubbard, he's gotten to the free throw line 133 times this year. I think limit his 3-point attempts. If he wants to finish over the trees, then good luck.
Right.
He's pretty, for a little dude, he's pretty good around the rim. Looking at Bart Torvik, his close to percentage, so kind of within that circle there. I mean, he's 62.8%. That's not too shabby. But
insane for a 5'11" guard. Honestly.
Yeah, I say make him play in between a little bit, getting that drop coverage and have him make a decision, because the mid range game, he's about 34% on the pull ups there. So that's would be my goal. Easier said than done, obviously, but and
a 5'11" guard like that, it's like you said, he's effective around the rim. But it's like, is he going to get to how many times can he get to the rim? Like that's a taxing style of play.
Just don't foul the dude when he goes in.
Right,
there. Right. I hate to see this from Fishman. He says, worst day ever. I just had to put down my 14-year-old lab. See you in heaven, Bo. Man, I hate to hear that. That's really sad, man. We're thinking about you. It's just, they call him man's best friend for a reason. My dog is 13. He's getting ready to be 14. And, I'm thankful for every day I've got left with him. I dread the day that comes, man. That sucks. So, we hate to hear that, buddy. We're thinking about you, and man, see you in heaven, Bo. Was a good boy.
That sucks, man. They become such a part of your everyday life, man. It's like, and then you just you kind of forget about it until you don't have them. It's and we've all gone through that at one point or another, or kind of know somebody who has. It's never a fun day, man. Whenever you come to that stepping off point with the pup. Yeah,
no doubt about it. A couple more chats here, and then we'll move on to our next segment. Samuel Brooks says, "Hey Curtis, any update on Nate Ament? He's visiting." Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like all jokes aside, we're not going to have any updates until after the visit. But he's coming to town, man, and that was the one thing we kept hearing, that Cal's out there to see him, and Arkansas is just kind of quietly in the mix, and you're hearing that the NIL package from the Razorbacks is very, very competitive for him. But you hadn't had him on a visit, and he had gone and seen all of his other finalists. So getting him here on campus for what should be just an awesome atmosphere, it's like you check that box. And it's his last visit. And that doesn't mean it's the best visit, but what it does mean is it's the most fresh on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that gives Arkansas an advantage here. I'm going to be really anxious to see what the buzz is for the Razorbacks post-visit, because he's been to some good games. He was at the Tennessee-Kentucky game at Tennessee. He was at the Tennessee-Kentucky game at Kentucky. He was at Duke. They might have been the Duke-Carolina game. I don't know that for sure, but he's in there at Cameron Indoor. So, he's been to some of the best environments in the country to check out a game, and now Arkansas and Bud Walton Arena has a chance to leave the last and final impression on him, and I think that's important.
I mean, the fact that the visit's happening has to just make you feel good, because, like you said, you kind of wondered for a while if they were really going to be able to get a crack at him. Makes you kind of think, I'm sure I'm not saying all those teams aren't in the mix, but it's like nobody's locked him up to that point. Whereas, like, a lot of times that's kind of what you're hoping when you bring the guy in and you get the cool atmosphere. You usually want to lock him up then, and so I don't know. We'll see if he announced he's doing his decision. Did he?
Well, he didn't announce it, but somebody else kind of announced it for him that it might be April 1st, or around the McDonald's All-American game or whatever.
Don't give us an April Fool's announcement, man.
I can't handle that. I can't handle it for sure.
That's a step too far for me, but no, it's definitely going to be interesting, and just again, this is tailor made for Arkansas and the fan base to really come alive and make it a fun atmosphere on Saturday, which I have close to zero doubt that they will do. I feel pretty confident it's going to be a fun crowd.
I like this. I saw that you started this comment. We'll get to this one and one more, and then we'll move on. From Nick Yates, he said, "Who on this team has the highest NBA ceiling, in your opinion?"
So, okay. I mean, I know it's probably a hot take, but like, are we sure Boogie Flan's not the answer to this question? Like, I know maybe he doesn't count, but like, he's the guy that if the draft happened right now would probably be the highest drafted pick. Z is weirdly kind of like intriguing to me, because like there's just so many freaks like Z in the NBA that I turn on like last night I was watching I guess it was Knicks Lakers, and I'm just seeing Cat out there on the perimeter basically playing shooting guard. And I'm like, the NBA embraces guys that have
really
these
do.
type of skill set to where like it won't bug them that he sucks in the interior defensively or that he can get bullied by guys because he'll basically be like a wing for in the NBA. It's kind of crazy. And so he's intriguing to me, and you just don't know what his ceiling is. I mean, his ceiling, he gets better every year. Who knows how high that kid could go. Carter kind of intrigues me a little bit.
I was going to say Carter.
Carter has a pretty high floor, frankly, because I just feel like 3-and-D, that's going to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's going to be the archetype that he's in. And we just see so many guys that are his kind of size in that like that wing era that just stick in the league for freaking 15 years. I mean, Moses Moody, that's why he's going to stick in the NBA forever. He's tall, knocks down threes, long, plays good defense, like low maintenance.
Right.
I feel like Carter could check a lot of those boxes. I don't know if he has a massive ceiling because none of these guys probably are going to be like lead scorers in the NBA. But
that comes on next year's roster.
Yeah, so. A little bit, you think. But I think Boogie's probably the only chance for a guy that would like really be a top creator for an NBA team if all goes well for him.
Yeah, and he's going to grow into his body because that's the one thing right now. Like he's not a great finisher, through contact, doesn't play well against physicality. The defense is a little sus against bigger and older guards, but he's a young guy, and so he's gonna put some meat on his bones and he'll be fine. Boogie Flan, by the way, who was at Sassy's for the Coach Cal radio show last night without a splint on his hand.
Interesting.
I'm just saying.
And they didn't get an update on the rehab, eh?
Not really. He's going through it. It's been a trying time, but that was not lost on me. I'll just say that. So, and then the super chat here from Hayden. We appreciate you, man. He says Ellis joining late. Give us a baseball prop lock.
I'm sticking with Ryder Helfrich. I've gotten another opportunity to think about it. I think it's a simple one. Ryder Helfrich, put the ball over the fence. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, and he says Hope Gackle gets back going. Happy Friday, boys. And I think that might be a good time for us to transition a little bit. Let's get into our Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett. Let's talk about baseball because that is happening here in Arkansas. That's coming up 3 p.m. first pitch. Yeah. You got Portland in town, projected to do pretty well in their league. They've got some interesting stuff going on with their pitching staff. What do you make of them? And then, to Hayden's point, it would be nice to see Gackle go out there and shove. He's struggled a couple times here recently, especially last weekend.
Yeah, would definitely love to see Gackle, who, I know everyone likes to overreact to everything. It would be pretty stunning if Gackle didn't wind up being at least pretty good. And now he is a sophomore. He will come back next year. And this time next year, we'll probably be talking about him as a potential top pick. And we'll be looking back and laughing at how he gave up 9 runs against Charlotte. And hopefully that just turns into a little bit of a one-off thing. But I think this is a matchup that Arkansas's pitching staff should be able to handle pretty well. I mean, but I would have said that last week against Charlotte. So I want to be careful. Sure. But here's how I kind of view this series. Charlotte, I feel like wound up being a little bit better than any of us probably thought. And on paper, they didn't necessarily seem like that. I think Portland kind of on paper seems like they would be more threatening. They beat A&M in a series last year. Mm-hmm. They're projected, like you said, they're one of the top teams in their league. They had a guy throw a perfect game Arkansas is going to face him on Sunday. Like they kind of check all the boxes as a series you would have to circle. I think Arkansas is going to play better in this one. Like I just feel like this Razorback team's starting to swing it pretty consistently 1 through 9, really 1 through 11. I talked about that on the show yesterday. Arkansas is basically going to have 11 position players vying for 9 spots, and that's going to be the case for a while. And some people might view that as a problem, but in years past, you had spots that were like question marks. Arkansas is basically having to make decisions between do we bench Nolan Souza, who's one of our best prospects on the team, or do we bench Rocco Pepe, who's a 5th-year senior who's produced, or do we have to bench Kendall Diggs, who's been here forever? We know what he can bring to the table, or do we bench Logan Maxwell, who's hit 300? Like Arkansas has to bench 2 really good players every game, and we always like to say stuff like that where we're like, oh, this team, they've got options. Really hadn't been the case for Arkansas's lineup. Really going back to 2021 when they had a little bit of a, they would play Braden Webb and Zach Gregory in left field kind of alternate, but they haven't had a situation where they've had good players not play in the lineup. It's kind of that way this year. And so I feel pretty good about this matchup. I think it's it'll add on to stat padding season, but Portland's got some good arms in their starting rotation. I mean, the kid that threw a perfect game, that's going to be a tough one on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's also lower velo. It's like a different matchup.
Mm-hmm.
These are the type of pitchers that typically give Arkansas trouble. So I think this is an interesting little semi-test for the lineup.
Can't wait to see it. And our man Ty, we appreciate the super chat. He says currently driving to Fayetteville for a big weekend of ball. Let's go 4-0 this weekend. Got my dad a jersey from Alumni Hall for his birthday too. Woo pig. I love that. I hope you walked in here and hollered Hogs by 20 at him and took advantage of that. And if anybody else needs to get a jersey for Pops, come in here and do it now. Come see us, man. Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue. It's awesome out here. We love coming out here, man. Now that we're able to do this once a month, the vibes are nice. They let us wear something cool every time we come in here, and I mean,
you're wearing. Hopefully, I mean, you're wearing what the baseball team's wearing today. I hope this is what the basketball team's wearing tomorrow. I hope we're in the correct attire for this weekend. But
absolutely,
you got to have the jerseys for every game. You got to be able to suit up. You got to be able to do your part, you know. And so they've got all the jerseys, they've got all the hats, they've got all the merch that the team is wearing. It's legit stuff, man.
Every time we come in here, I look up at their counter and I see that lava lamp.
Yeah,
and I just think about, man, when I was 14, I'd have bought it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
you know, it's good stuff. I like it. If that's your thing, then come in here and get it. Again, it's like I said at the top of the show. It's not just clothes and apparel. Right. I mean, they've got literally any Razorback related piece of merch that you can think of. They've got it in here. Really cool place. You got to come check it out. I want to get some of these lights and these signs to start putting up around the house. You know, spice it up a little bit.
I was looking earlier at some like decals that they have back there, just like put on the back of your car. I now have a bombastic decal. Hillary got that for me for Valentine's Day. Quite the romantic, but it's like got a little thing that says bombastic podcast. So if you see a car that has that, that's probably my car. But so I might have to get like a hog to put next to it. Then I'm going, I've never been a bumper sticker guy. I've never had a bumper sticker in my entire life, but now I think I'm a bumper sticker guy now.
I think so. It's good to have a woman who is romantic about baseball.
How could you not be romantic about baseball?
Absolutely. HH did come through. I had to make sure I pulled this up.
This is funny.
He said, just to clarify, I saw the KSR clip on Twitter. I would never give those clowns a view on YouTube. Good for you. Good decision that you made there. I did not see that one, but I'm definitely going to go quote tweet it and give him some trouble. Man, just some somber stuff. I want to pull it up.
Appreciate everybody rallying around Fishman, man. I really appreciate that.
That's and seriously, because we do feel like we're like one big happy or unhappy family in here, but in case you guys notice, anytime we get the opportunity to get in the chat, me and Andrew love doing that, man. We like interacting with you guys, and we really do appreciate everybody for tuning in and hanging out with us and making us a part of your day. Shep says, Fishman, my condolences and prayers go out to you. I'm in the boat with you. Lost my 15-month-old nephew and an uncle recently. You're not alone, my friend. Man, I just seriously, condolences. Yeah. That's terrible, man. I hate that. Hope you guys hang in there. And I just sorry to hear that, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, it does suck, man. But it is cool that we have this little community where people we share as much positive news as we can. Obviously, it's not always positive. This is a place where you can you can come share that kind of stuff, man. Because we do care about y'all.
Yeah.
Even the ones that we just
we give you trouble.
We give
you
give
us
times,
trouble. It's part of the deal for sure. Andrew David wants to know if there's any update on Gage Wood. Just kidding.
Right, because everybody's been. It's funny because like you get the Native Mint update whenever nothing's happening. It's like I don't know what gas station he went to on the way here. With Gage. I don't think I'll be on the lookout this weekend, but I don't believe he has picked up a baseball, which is good, which is what they should have done. But it'll be interesting because I'm gonna I'll be there at all the games and I'll try to get there to see because eventually he'll start tossing a little bit, and I want to be watching every movement he does.
Didn't we? I think I heard Dave say that he throwing a football around a little bit or something. Which
they like throwing that football around in the in the bullpen.
Fire that pigskin.
If he's throwing the football, that means that he's not currently feeling anything, which is good because he hasn't been throwing. We really won't know until he starts to throw, whether that's a long tossing or whether that's a bullpen. He'll either feel pain or discomfort or not. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what we have to wait on
for sure. I do appreciate this from Joe Anderson. Keep sending these in here. He says Drake is looking good, not Drake the rapper that
the school
rented out a strip club to bet or whatever he was doing the other day. But yeah, the school. I told everybody on the pod at the Palace today, like I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your life, but you're just not allowed to listen to any Kendrick Lamar through the weekend because we're all Drake fans for the weekend. They need to just get that auto bid down in the Missouri Valley tournament. No bid stealing nonsense.
You need all those 27-3 teams because in Drake like that, you need them to win. Yes. You do not need a 1-bid lead to become a 2-bid league overnight.
Right. This is interesting. So from HH, and I saw a couple of people in the chat asking about this. Says, do y'all think Cal sending Boogie to Sassy's was a hint at a return? I don't know. I found it interesting that he was there. I really did. But they didn't really grill him too much about it. It would have been cool for him to announce, being there, being like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm back at practice. Like I'm looking forward to getting back on the court with this team or whatever. Cal's usually not one to give a lot of information. Like they want to play that stuff coy. But then why did you send him there? Because you knew the kind of the message that was going to send. So I don't know. And that's why I'm a little bit intrigued more than I normally would be to see that availability report tonight. Because what if
it's
it comes
doubtful?
out? And yeah, exactly. Because then you know there's a chance, and that's all people are asking for here.
That is all we're asking for. I did think it was interesting, and I'm with you where I don't think anybody can definitively be like, oh yeah, they sent him, he's totally coming back.
Yeah.
Or that they sent him, but he's definitely not coming back. Like, I don't think you can definitively say either. I think, I hate to say it, I don't think they put a ton of thought into who goes to Sassy's. Like, I really don't think
Maybe
it
not.
was.
Yeah.
I don't think
Brad Calipari was there too. So
right, and so it's like I really think it's one of those things where they're probably sitting around like, hey, the Sassy's thing's coming up. Oh, I'll go, coach. You know, like I really think it might be that simple. I know football was a little bit more. They tried to get. It was like an honor system of like you have to earn your way in there if you've been there for a few years. I think with basketball, it's when it's probably something that not everyone's looking forward to. I think they'll send whoever. And Boogie was probably like, yeah, I'd love to go. I'll take some barbecue and the answer. I'll hang out with Chuck Barrett. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Why not? Before we shift gears, though, I do want to just go ahead and get into our SEC update real quick, presented by Rhoback. The reason being because there's some other important basketball going on around the course of the SEC, and it's Arkansas just got to take care of their own business. Win and you're in type of situation, but at the same time, you got to pay attention to those around you. And not only is there bubblicious stuff going on, there's SEC tournament seeding stuff going on. I still care about the SEC tournament. I enjoy it. I like it. It matters to me where Arkansas finishes. It's driven me nuts the last couple of years where we've had Eric Musselman's teams that go to the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16, but they finish 10th or something in the SEC. It drives me nuts, man. So like the higher they get, the better. And that's something I typically look forward to. The biggest game as it pertains to Arkansas is going to be Oklahoma at Texas. And reason being because that is not so much a play-in game as a play-out game. Like it almost feels like an elimination game for those two teams. And when is that? So that's an evening game. Okay.
Plenty of time. I mean, you can watch, you can go to the basketball game, go to the baseball game, and then get home and still have an hour to eat dinner before that game comes on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly right. That's going to be one to really, really keep an eye on there. What I will say is if Oklahoma goes into Texas and wins, Texas is toast.
Oh, 100%.
That's a wrap. Rodney Terry's out of there. They're not going to the NCAA tournament. It's over. For Oklahoma, if they lost that game, it would put them in a tough spot. It would be a quad one loss. They would be 5-13 to finish SEC play. I wouldn't call them dead in the water, but it would be a situation where they would have to really go do some work in Nashville, like a lot of work.
It would actually kind of offend me if Oklahoma made the tournament in any circumstance. Like, say they make the title. Obviously, if you win the SEC tournament, cool. Sure. But like, even if you go to the title game of the SEC tournament, if you're 5-13, it's hard for me to believe that like you're in the top 64. That you've really like earned the right to be there. And look, I think every year there's teams that don't make the tournament that could have possibly won a game or two. Like I have no doubt about that, but it's like, it just would be a little gross to me. And then, if Oklahoma,
hey, there we go. How's it going?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
And if Oklahoma wins that game, they're at 6-12 in the SEC. And then Texas would also be 6-12. And Texas is already, like you said, this would be a worse loss, I feel like, for Texas. Then it would be a bad loss for Oklahoma.
Oh, at home?
Obviously, Oklahoma probably shouldn't be able to afford to lose it. But like if Texas has their NCAA tournament lives hanging in the balance, you're in the first four out and you lose at home to another bubble team.
Yeah.
It's hard to go to sleep. And you've also lost twice to Arkansas, another team in this mix. Like it would be really hard for me to envision that Texas would rally together and win a few in the tournament.
Agreed. And that's why I was so surprised that they wound up winning that game at Mississippi State the other night because like they got their cheeks clapped at South Carolina before Arkansas did. Then they lost to Arkansas. And then they got blown out at home by Georgia. And it was like, oh, they've packed it in. But Trey Johnson always happens, and then Tremont Mark just happened to happen in that game, and they wind up beating Mississippi State, which is crazy. By the way, I love that we had somebody come in here and give us a fist bump. Somebody understood the assignment and came in here and did it. Now we just got to hear them say Hogs by 20 when they go up there with their gear.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, take care of them. Take care of them now. Okay. Another game relevant to Arkansas, not the sexiest matchup in the world, but Vanderbilt at Georgia. And so this is huge for SEC tournament seeding purposes because, like we talked about, if Arkansas wins, and Georgia wins, the Razorbacks get the 9 seed in the SEC tournament, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that could get you up there pretty high. And what that would also mean, and I don't know how we feel about this, is your first round matchup in Nashville would be the Nooner against South Carolina.
I'll take it.
Bring it on, man.
I'll take it.
I
yeah.
mean, come on.
Get our lick back.
Lightning's not going to strike twice there, right?
It definitely won't strike as aggressively as it struck last Saturday. Yeah. I'm also kind of interested in this game from an NCAA. Hey, appreciate you, man.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
I'm also
Hogs
interested
by
in this
20,
game.
Remember,
from a NCAA tournament standpoint, because if Georgia loses this game, Georgia's helped themselves probably more than any team in the country the last like 3 weeks.
They really have.
If Georgia drops this game at home, you kind of see them maybe slipping back into that mix a little bit. Obviously, Vanderbilt's a good team, the good net. It's not like a bad loss, but just not the kind of vibe. You would kind of put some pressure on Georgia going into the NCAA or the SEC tournament to where maybe that's a team, and that's another team that Arkansas has a win over. Yes. You'd feel pretty good. Oh my God. There's John Neighbors.
Hang on. I think this is the button. We got it. John Neighbors is
Holy
here.
Cow. Is he about to stand here? We have not heard him talk. We have no idea if he's able to be heard, if anything, he can enunciate or any of that. But I guess we're gonna find out here in a second.
I'm so happy that this is happening. Well, as John gets set up here, and hopefully see if Alumni Hall is gonna bring him a chair over here. We gotta unmute John.
Who needs a chair? You know, chairs are overrated this day. I've been laying down for a while, and it's been good. Yeah. How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
We're doing
man.
good. I'm surprised to see you in such good spirits.
I am too. Like I woke up actually feeling as great as I've ever felt. I don't know why, but
you've seen the light.
I've seen the light. Like I went under the knife, and I guess I was looking up and I saw a bunch of like dancing stuff, and then boom, I was gone. I woke up.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woke up and I was like, okay, this is good. This is good.
All right.
So they've removed your tooth. Do you feel any different down 2 teeth?
Not yet, because I think I have this like cloth stuff like stuck in my thing up here. Okay. So it's like it just feels like I'm just chewing on cotton.
I thought you just collected some nuts on your way over here. Didn't know what was going on.
No, it was but no, it's been great. Like it was very smooth, not a patient. I felt really bad, guys. And since I'm on these drugs, you guys are going to have to take advantage of this.
I mean, we plan to.
Because as soon as I woke up, I may have spit some of the most game ever at the lovely dentist assistants there.
Really?
As I woke up, yeah. And I'm just going to be honest, it was probably pretty embarrassing on my end, but I couldn't help it.
Spitting game right after the post-op game spitting is crazy.
Dude, I couldn't help it.
So what you're saying here is I should have stayed the whole time just so I could witness what happened.
Yeah.
Supervise them.
Yeah.
How did you get here, by the way?
My sister-in-law dropped me off. Okay. Julia, shout out to Julia. She helped me out.
Were they able to start the operation before she got there? Were they willing to do that?
No, I had to do that. Oh. Yeah, I guess I got a chair behind me. Sorry, I didn't realize it.
Man.
Yeah.
How about that?
But anyways, so yeah, like I got it done, and I woke up, and like the lady made a comment on my chest. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest.
All right,
made a comment on my chest, and how tan it was for some reason, and I was like, thank you. You know, I worked really hard for it.
You said tan?
Yeah.
You were shirtless during this thing?
Well, they had to put stuff on my stuff.
I guess I didn't realize teeth removal. You got to get shirtless.
It wasn't shirtless. They put stuff down my shirt.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I don't think I was shirtless, but then again, I don't know. I could have been naked the whole time and I wouldn't have known it.
The plot twist of a female commenting on John's tan in a flattering fashion is, I mean,
that was the worst thing she could have done, because it just set me up to all of a sudden I'm feeling myself.
Tan chest neighbors, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I started like saying, I was like, oh, you know, well, I don't know if you guys knew this, but, you know, I'm actually, I got to get to a show that's at Alumni Hall for Inside Arkansas Live. I have to talk for a living.
Yeah.
And she
kind
was
of
like,
a big deal.
Yeah. She was like, oh, really? What are you talking about? I was like, Razorback athletics, the most important thing here in the state of Arkansas.
That's right. And
she's like, well, how's your show going on if you're here? I said, well, let me tell you something. I got a guy named Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis who are stepping in and getting the job done. And then I may just join them in at some point in time. So
I was gonna say, did you misrepresent it to where it was like, oh, I have to get out of here right now. They need me to talk.
I have no idea what's going on right now. I got it. Yeah.
It was just more of me just trying to, you know, make sense out of everything and getting it done. But either way, I didn't want to come and wreck the show, guys. That was not my intention. I just wanted to say hi, and everything went well.
Yeah, I mean, you caught us at a perfect transition. We just wrapped up the SEC update.
Nice.
We've got a handful of people come in here with a little fist bump action.
Heck
they know
yeah.
the assignment, Hogs by 20. So yeah, it's been good. It's going well.
Yeah.
We haven't yelled at anyone in the chat today.
Now that I don't believe.
We also haven't
I don't
talked
buy
about-
that
We
for a
really haven't.
second.
We really haven't yelled at the chat much, but yeah, we've been talking basketball. It's been good
Yeah.
vibes.
No, that's
I do
true.
have to report that Fishman's dog of 14 years, Bo, his lab has passed, and so we
man.
offered our condolences for Fishman. It's
Sorry,
been
man. That sucks.
it's banded us together though. Weirdly enough, we've I feel closer to the chat now.
I definitely. I mean, I absolutely feel some bonding that is that's been going on today, and it's good, and it's even better now that you're here, man.
Is
we're
it though?
glad you
Is
made
it better?
Yeah.
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 Well, good.
Your
I
spark
told
plug
your-
off the bench, man.
Yeah, you're stepping in as a super six man. You're kind of the JD Note today of six men.
Yeah.
Like coming off the bench and just immediately the best player.
As long as I don't get 5 fouls with 13 minutes left to go in the
Yeah,
game
don't-
against
don't do
Baylor.
that.
He's
Don't do
low-key
that.
Boogie Flan, where it's like, we'll see how it goes. We're gonna keep bringing you off the bench for the next few shows, just because we don't want to mess with the chemistry, and we'll kind of work you back
Mhm.
into the action. I think that's probably the
That's
route
the yeah. That's
we're
the
gonna have to
route.
go with this. We'll give you 10 minutes in Nashville. We'll see how you feel, and then get your breath under you, and then we'll
Yeah.
we'll
Go from
evaluate from there.
there. Go
Yeah.
from there. All
That's exactly right. That's exactly
You're
right.
still a big part of this team. No, make no mistake. There's no small parts. You're still a big part of this team.
right. Okay. Well, I just got to make sure I follow the instructions they gave me and
Yeah,
stuff.
my
so.
dad was in here earlier.
Drugs.
He's had one of these before. He said, "Do not chew stuff. Like if they tell you
Okay.
don't chew, do not chew," because he's made that mistake before, and it prolonged his pain for a while.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any of that. I just got to keep it clean. Brush my teeth daily.
That's a tough one.
It says dry socket is when the blood clot gets. I don't want to hear that stuff. Let's see. Okay, so it says I have to have I can't do any mouth rinsing or touching the wound area until surgery is fully over with.
Yeah, keep your finger and other objects out of your
Yeah.
mouth. Yeah.
It says take the prescribed pain meds, which I don't know if I got those. And then it says restrict your activities the day of the surgery and resume normal activity when you feel comfortable. So I
So
feel
you did
comfortable.
not restrict activities though.
Yeah, it says place the ice packs on the side of your face when surgery was performed. I'm not gonna do that yet.
Just so you know, the chat is going nuts here about the dry socket. That it's horrible. Follow those directions. Christy says dry socket sucks. Avoid that. So whatever your instructions are for that,
Yeah,
you don't wanna-
Follow it.
Yeah, follow.
All right, I'll circle back for you guys and let you know.
You going to
Yeah,
bomb
it-
today?
Maybe I got an invitation to play golf.
Today?
But yeah,
Oh, with who?
our guy Coulter, who does a Fable.
Oh
Fly
yeah.
Cup. So may do that, but I don't know. I don't feel like doing like athletic activity after something like this. Is a
Yeah.
very smart idea. I'd rather just be out in the sun at a baseball game.
Nothing wrong with that. It's a good.
Yeah,
day
as
for
long
it.
as the sun stays out. I thought it was supposed to be cloudy today, but I guess the wind pushed all the clouds away. Literally, when
Yeah.
I checked the weather app this morning, it was like going to be cloudy until 4 p.m. There ain't even a cloud in the sky.
No, 40-mile-an-hour wind gust or something though. It's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
whipping.
insane, man.
Mhm.
I wonder like which direction that is going to be blowing out, or in, or
So when I was at Goodwill earlier,
Okay.
I felt like it was blowing this direction, which would be right field foul pole to left field foul pole, which is typically, I feel like
Okay.
that's the most common at bomb.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, fun fact, I don't know if you guys know this. Y'all ready for this? Arkansas's right field fence used to be 330, but the wind always is pushing that direction. Dave caught wind that people were negatively recruiting. He was in for a big left-handed hitter, and I think it was with LSU, and they were like, both of our fences are 330, but at bomb, you've got the wind blowing in. It always blows from the north there. It's gonna knock down everything. Like you'll have way better numbers. And so Dave was like, we're moving that sucker 10 feet in. Then they built a facility there to knock down some of that wind as well. So trying to let the lefties still mash.
Wow. That's a good story. I had not heard that. That's
Yeah.
some insider
Now it's
stuff.
now
man.
320 there, and right.
And how long did that change ago?
I would have had to been like 10 years ago at this
Hmm.
point. It's been a while.
Those Mickey Mouse parks
Yeah.
like they have over at Tennessee.
Hayden
Yeah.
Ulmer has sent us a super chat for John's Glow Tanning membership.
Excuse me, buddy. Okay,
Listen.
Glow. Come on,
Whatever you got to
PBT. Let's be honest. about
whatever you
this.
got to do to keep that chest Donald Trump orange, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, orange chest bad.
what did she say? Did she just say it was tan, or did she? I mean,
Yeah, well,
did
she
she
was.
say you were glowing?
So she had to kind of like pull down my shirt here,
Oh.
and she was just
Ah.
like, she's like, oh, you're really tan. I was like, well, I'll just tell you.
Tan everywhere.
Yeah. No lines here. No lines.
Yikes.
Yeah.
John, how are you feeling about this basketball game tomorrow?
So I was actually thinking about this.
Okay.
So tomorrow, Mississippi State's just one of those teams that's so gross and dirty, and I don't like the way that they play. It's not like aesthetically pleasing, but it's got a recipe to be where I'll either be extremely happy because Arkansas played really well, got the win, and we don't have to worry about bubble teams and whatnot, or I feel like if Arkansas loses, it's going to be the most disgusting, gross game to watch. Lots of turnovers, lots of like fouls. It's just going to be like that. But I feel like Arkansas on their final game at home in Bud Walton Arena, they're going to send the fans off the right way. I'm really hoping that they do that because they need it. They've had some good games here and there, but the final one, make it count. Make it go out on a good win.
Got to leave a good taste in the mouth.
Yeah, if you would. Hey, there it is. Yeah, that's what I would hope for. But
what's interesting? John Rothstein, who do like Eric Musselman, the importer, John Calipari, the last Corleone. It's Chris Jans, the dentist.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Why?
Because watching his teams or playing against his teams is like pulling teeth.
And I would know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So just saying.
A lot of teeth talk, a lot of mouth talk on the show today.
Yeah. How did we get here? Yeah, way too much oral on the show.
The dental hygiene. 4 and 5 dentists recommend watching Inside Arkansas live.
Yes. That's exactly
the
right.
fifth dentist just did not care for our stuff.
Well, listen, I was gonna bring up some football conversation, but I honestly feel like it might ruin the vibes. I don't even know if we should go there. I don't know if we
have
should
to
go
talk
there.
a little bit.
Let's talk about
I've got bad takes to report. And as a reporter, I have to report it.
Okay. Roster takes or
all of the above, but we can start with the roster.
Okay. Well, I want to do that because that was one of the things that stuck out to me. I know we talked about the GM stuff and revenue sharing and everything, but it seems to me that, well, it doesn't seem to me, he just outright said it. Sam Pittman is very comfortable with where his team is at on the offensive side of the ball, and he seems a little bit worried about where they're at on the defensive side of the ball. So he was asked about what they might be trying to identify in the spring portal window before spring practice even starts, and there are a couple areas of concern. So let's listen to this real quick and see what he had to say.
And then whomever in the back end. But I don't really see a kicker, a punter, a snapper, nor really right now today anybody offensively. Now our numbers are skewed. We've got a lot more offensive guys on the team right now than we do defensive. So we've got to get those kind of evened up a little bit, and that's another reason why I'm saying defense.
Okay. So what do we think about that?
So it's not surprising based on just kind of how the portal played out. Because every time Arkansas got a portal commit, we were like, but what about the D-line? Every time they get another receiver, another running back, another whatever, it's like, but what about the D-line? Are they going to get the D-line? And, they brought in a few transfers here and there, one of which will not be playing to start the spring, and David Oki, who's the guy from Abilene Christian, we kind of like. He's out. Cam Ball is going to miss the entire spring with an elbow surgery after having elbow surgery, which, seems like something he needed. We know how good Cam Ball is. We know what he brings to the table. That actually might be a blessing in disguise because you're going to get some reps. Arkansas needs to create depth on that interior of the defensive line.
It's the Ian Jaffard and Danny Saili show in spring.
I mean, and they need all the reps they can get. And so it actually might help not having Cam Ball. But I think there's going to be some times when they open practice Monday where we're like, wow, the number 2 D line. I've never heard of these cats. Who are these guys? And it's going to get pretty bleak. So I think when we talk about the spring portal window, they're definitely going to need to get any bodies they can there.
He said a couple on the interior.
I mean, because think about it. Most of the defensive linemen we like even the Okie guy, an edge rusher. Like Cam Ball's really the only proven interior threat that they have. And even he's not coming off of the year that it's not like he had a Landon Jackson type of year last year. He was fine. So they need a lot of guys, and a lot of the young guys on the roster that they maybe like a Charlie Collins, is an edge rusher as well. And so it's just on the interior, the numbers. It's just, even if all these guys end up being good, you need some depth, and they just don't have any right now. So in the spring, it's going to be interesting to watch that. Secondary is kind of the same situation where they kind of replaced everyone they lost. They didn't necessarily build depth. They just kind of replaced everyone they had. But like we learned last year, they were like 1 or 2 injuries away from things getting bleak. Now you have an injury to maybe your best transfer defensive back, the guy from Cincinnati, Jordan Young. And so it's going to be very interesting to see just like who emerges, what it looks like. But I think when we're filling out the depth chart after the first few days of practice, we're going to be like, yuck, this is the defense is tough. I felt that way a little bit last year.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know. I maybe don't share the optimism that Sam Pittman has about the offense as well, because they got questions over there. Receiver, offensive line, you got 2 big question marks. And so Sam kind of played it as we're loaded offensively. We'll figure out the defense. I think they definitely have a lot to figure out defensively, but I don't share the same confidence he has in the offense.
It seems to me like with the offensive side, seems pretty bullish on what they've done on the offensive line, which good. I mean, I hope that's true. Sound like he's really excited about Corey Robinson. They really like the idea of moving Carmona to the inside. What excited me, it got me tingling a little bit, was him talking about Shaq McCroy and how athletic he is, how well he moves and everything. So it sounds, at least initial impressions, like he might be a guy who is not a project, who they feel like can play for him right away. If that's true, he's an immense talent, then sure, you could sell me on that offensive line being better. Big Mike Washington guy, the running back position. Listen, I wasn't impressed with his stats and his production and everything at New Mexico State. But I also haven't been there every day watching him work out and everything. So who knows? The wide receiver stuff really interested me though, because they brought in a lot of dudes. I mean, they have a ton of options and a ton of bodies, but you just don't really know. Did he not seem, I don't know, more excited or optimistic about Ismail Cece, the Stanford wide receiver, than he was Courtney Crutchfield, who the only thing he said was he's getting in better shape?
Yeah,
I
thought that was a little interesting. And by the way, I mean, Courtney Crutchfield, we've all kind of penciled in as a starting receiver for sure. He's going to be a guy that replaces Andrew Armstrong or Tisla or whoever. Has not played a snap in the SEC. Like, I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion. And so this spring is going to be interesting to figure that out. It's interesting on the CC kid. You remember when we were in Lexington and I was telling you, I was like, I got this buddy that his brother played at Stanford, and he was like, CC's a great guy. He's just a great guy of character. He'll be a good presence in the locker room.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if nothing else, you're getting a guy that's going to try hard, going to be a good guy to bring into your program. But all this to say, I don't share the same optimism that Sam Pittman has, because he was like, we're deeper at receiver. We're way better at receiver. And they were like, all right, who's your top guys? He's like, well, we got to figure out who's going to be our Andrew Armstrong, who's going to be our Tisla. I really like Omega Blake, and I feel like he's going to help Arkansas on some level. I just feel like Arkansas is going to need more proven threats outside of him, whether that be Cam Shanks, whether that's Raylan Sharp, whether that's Crutchfield, whether it's CC. I don't care who it is. I just have a hard time believing you're going to come out of this spring and you're going to have 3-4 guys that you are for sure confident are going to be good.
Let me ask you guys something. You think it was on purpose that they had more offensive players and defensive? Like, was that like part of the plan? Hey, in the fall, we're going to focus on that, and then defense will do it, or is it more just kind of how it played out?
I don't know, because it is weird to me. Like, I mean, they're gonna have to make some cuts offensively. Like they're like 3, maybe 4 scholarships over at wide receiver. Like they're not gonna be able to keep all those guys. So there's gonna be some attrition there. That's interesting. Offensive line, I guess they're right about where they're supposed to be. I'm kind of surprised they haven't added another running back.
Yeah.
Personally, like, I mean, it sounds like Russell's in good shape. He's down 12, 14
He's
pounds.
at 238 is where he's at now.
Yeah, so that's good. And then maybe him and Mike Wash are just going to be that 1-2 punch. And I guess Rodney Hill's back, right?
Yeah, he's back. He's back.
Yeah, so okay, whatever. But yeah, and then they seem like they're fairly excited about the tight ends that they brought in. They're just unknown, because like Platt didn't play at A&M. Then you got a JUCO guy, so you don't know how it's going to translate. Then you got an FCS guy, so it's just it's the unknown. I'm sure they look great in workouts. I haven't seen them yet, so it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, they're going to be awesome.
Same, and that's the key thing here, is that we haven't seen any of these guys. But that's where I'm stunned that Pittman just kind of said it like it was a foregone conclusion. He's like, oh, we're way better offense. He's like, we've definitely upgraded the roster offensively, and I'm like, yeah, but you've got an NFL running back that's at the combine right now. You have 2 receivers that are at the combine right now, a couple other senior receivers that have been there for a while. You pretty much don't bring back any production returning a receiver. I'm not saying these guys that they brought in are all bad, but I don't know how Pittman has already chalked it up as like, hey, we're loaded at receiver, loaded at tight end, when really none of these guys have played at this level. And so I'm not saying we can't come out of spring and say, you know what, that CC kid, clearly he's something. We saw him at practice. He looked awesome. That could very well happen. But it is kind of interesting that before they've even opened practice, that Pittman's like, yeah, we're loaded at receiver, loaded all at all these positions. Where just on paper, it's not really there.
And John, to your point, I don't know if it was by design or not, because like we were barking the entire time through portal season about, well, they really need a lot more on the defensive line. Like on the interior, we know that there's just not much there. And on the outside, and that was what was interesting to me. Another thing that he said was somebody asked him, like, you know, you just feel like with the bodies that you have, like how important is it that somebody really pops on that defensive line? And you need more than one somebody to pop. And that's kind of what he said, because you don't have a lot of production there. I mean, you're excited about the potential of Quincy Rhodes. That's a major leap, because somebody's got to become Landon Jackson or help fill that void a little bit. You know, Collins and Kavion Henderson or whatever, like they didn't get that many reps. And then the dudes that you brought in, they just played some, you know, like the Justice Boone from Florida and Talley from Michigan State. I mean, they weren't gangbusters there. So, was it by design? I don't know. Like, did they really swing heavily on maybe that big defensive tackle from Georgia? You remember that guy?
Yeah, that was the one that they thought they were going to get him for sure.
But we didn't really see him connected that much to other edge rushers, at least that we know of. And so that was interesting to me. Secondary that they're so worried about, that kind of surprised me, because they went out and got so many dudes. Like they got the JUCO kid, the guy from Oklahoma, the Cincinnati transfer, the Eastern Michigan transfer, the kid from Auburn. Like they went and got a bunch of dudes. And you're at the start of spring ball and you're going, well, we got to go get more. And his point on that, I mean, he said it point blank, was we don't just need bodies. Like we need guys who can come in here and help us. So did you miss on some of those guys, or were they really depth pieces? I don't really know, but it leaves you a little bit uneasy with them going in the spring portal, where they're going to have to really get some guys on defense. I know they did it last year with Steven Dix. Like I know there's some examples there where they've gone out and done well, but they're going to have to do it again.
Well, getting back to what John said, was this by design, them having kind of less numbers on the defense? Maybe the fact that they were able to get some guys like Larry Worth, like Switzer, like Steven Dix, kind of late in the process, maybe frees them up to think, you know what, we'll be fine with our personnel. But, you know, I think back to last year around this time, the secondary for Arkansas obviously ended up not being very good. We thought in the offseason, we were like, you know, we weren't blown away by the additions they had, but they kind of did the same thing, Curtis. Like you said, they brought in just a bunch of guys. You know, Danico Slaughter's there at nickel. You have Marquise Robinson. You've got Miguel Mitchell. You've got all these just random. Anthony Switzer, we thought was going to be a defensive back at the time. We kind of were like, all right, you just brought in a bunch of transfers. You've got some guys left over. You've got Jalen Braxton. You got Hudson Clark. They'll make it work. And then really, you had a couple injuries. Some of those guys didn't materialize. I wonder if they kind of maybe set themselves up for a similar kind of thing. Because like you said, you kind of need some of these guys to pop. But it seems like the Oklahoma kid, Connie Walker, like I'm sure he'll play. I'm sure he'll contribute. But I don't know if he's a needle mover. I think most of those defensive backs they brought in, besides maybe the Auburn kid, Scandrett from EMU, I really like as well.
I like that guy too.
I like him as well. I like the kid from Cincinnati too, Young. It sucks that he's hurt because we don't get to see it. But if you can get just maybe two of those guys to really be a for sure starter for you, you can maybe make it work. But I think that maybe he didn't like his first impression in the workouts with those guys.
Well, I think it's all these players are just hopeful guys. Like best case scenario is, hey, you're hoping they're good. You're hoping that they pan out. You're hoping that they're better than what people anticipate. But until you actually see them get out on the field, it's just going to be up in the air.
Yeah. No doubt about it. This is from Ryan. I want to pull it up real quick. He's talking about Pittman and what he was talking about. And he said, we got to find who's Armstrong, who's Tesla. So we find the best athlete and play them minimally. Sounds good. I know a lot of people have been talking about that since Tesla went and just tore it up at the combine. Everybody's like, this dude played behind Tyrone Broden all year.
We knew that Tesla was like built in the lab for the combine. Like he is that kind of guy. But yeah, that's what's funny is like, not that I went into last year thinking Arkansas was loaded at wide receiver, but it's like on paper, they had more production at wide receiver than they have this year. And so I just am confused as to how so many people have gotten to the conclusion that they're just better at receiver. And I'm like, just because they don't, and everybody does a thing where they're like, well, last year was all Andrew Armstrong. Now we got a good mix. I'm like, how does having five guys worse than Andrew Armstrong mean that you have a deeper wide receiver? Like none of them are going to be that good. Do you even have a guy that's better than Tesla? Because if he were back, he would probably be wide receiver 1 or 2 on this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. And I would feel like I'm confident in Omega Blake. And I understand what Pittman was saying about being able to run some more screens and some more, design niche stuff for guys like Raylan Sharp and
Shanks,
Cam Shanks. So, okay, fine. Like you could sell me on that. They need more. We didn't hear anything about, CJ Brown. Jordan Anthony's sticking with track until the fall. So like he's not going to be part of spring ball. So it just makes you wonder. I would feel a lot better about it if he would have been raving about Crutchfield the way that he was
know.
Shaq McCroy. And I know,
Oh, yeah.
and in fairness to Sam, like he's sitting up there and he's getting asked questions about every position. He's got a brand new roster. They haven't had spring practice yet. He's like looking at his paper and then he's looking over at Kyle Parkinson going, well, is anybody else injured? Like, and he's thinking about money and he's freaking out about getting a GM, which he was talking about over and over. He's like, I got to get this off my plate, man. He could have just, maybe he is super impressed with Crutchfield or whatever, but I would have taken the opportunity if I was him to be like, no, this guy, athlete, man, how did he not get on the field at Missouri to drum up a little bit of excitement? But I get it.
But he threw a shot at Crutchfield that one time, so maybe he's still harboring some resentment. Do one of y'all want to break the bad news to Pooh Bear? He hopes that Jaquinton Jackson comes back at running back. Says that he tested very poorly at the combine. Unfortunately, that is not how the NFL draft works. We have missed that boat.
That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. He's out of here. He'll be on somebody's roster, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll be in the preseason getting like 4 carries in the fourth quarter somewhere. Yeah. But I mean, not that I would like feel vastly different about this team, but it'd be nice to have some guy like that on the offense where you could at least build something around.
Yes. Luke Wood says John looks loopy. You feel loopy? Are you getting tired?
I feel fine.
Hanging in there? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, do I look really like crap?
I don't know.
I think loopy is a good word.
Yeah, that's fine.
You look like you're deep in thought.
No. I'm deep in something.
Locked in.
I don't know if it's thought, but I'm deep in something.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, Dalton, we appreciate you, man, for the super chat. He was in here earlier before we started the show, and he was asking about you. He was like, "Oh no, John, today this is Dennis Day." You know?
It's Dennis Day.
But we told him that allegedly you would be coming here after your operation, your procedure.
I
came through. I felt like $100 when I woke up. It was crazy.
I'm a little.
Are you coming down from that high? I mean, maybe literal high, but like, have you kind of like have your adrenaline left your system a little bit?
No, I think the feeling of just like not really, whenever all my muscles feel like they're melting is gone. But like, I think I'm starting to get like all of my stuff back together. I can make fists again. Yeah, I'm right as the mail.
Good. I too am right as the mail. So we're. Oh man, I am a little upset. So you had to get an IV.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did they put in your arm? And
yeah, they did. They put some in my arm, and they said, this thing's going to be cold. Hey, this thing's going to feel weird. And next thing I know, they're like, hey, you think the Arkansas Razorbacks are going to make the NCAA tournament? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And I was gone.
That's a little disappointing. I was really hoping they just put the mask on you and give you the laughter.
They put something. They said it was oxygen they gave me. Okay. I don't know. I felt like I had just stuff all over me and everything just for a tooth. But hey, it's gone. Procedure's done. I can move forward with my life. Thank goodness.
Now, did they show you the tooth? Did you get to keep it?
No, that's what Julia asked me. No, is that a thing? Do you get to keep the teeth?
I don't know.
I want to keep that nasty tooth. It's broken. It's got a cavity in it. I don't want to keep that nonsense.
You want to put under your pillow tonight?
Man.
Yeah, I was about to say, you probably could
how much money I paid for that? I should have.
Get a little bit of return on your investment.
Yeah, let's say Tooth Fairy better be coming in here soon. Give me some extra money for that.
Oh man. Let's see here. What does this mean? Morgenstein says, John seems subdued. Yeah, a little subdued. It's okay.
Listen, I'll admit it. I am. Like, I'm fully that way, but making it work.
And you said you don't know if you have your painkillers or not, because that's also another thing. You might be able to.
No, I think they gave me the prescription. I just got to go pick it up at some point. I just got to remember where I told them to put it.
Well, that'll be another fun time.
Oh yeah, dude.
For you.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be like a treasure hunt. Just trying to find out of how I can alleviate the pain. But I don't have any pain right now. It's probably gonna hit me like a ton of bricks in a bit, but none right now. Pretty good.
Ryan's a little concerned that the dental assistant may have given you a catheter instead of a standard IV. So
please don't be like that, Ryan. don't say that.
You can always plant like negative seeds in John's head. Sometimes I've noticed you can like see John get nervous.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that.
Given our conversation as we drove over here, Ryan says United paid for that tooth removal.
They did, like legitimately. It's almost the exact same amount. So yes. Yeah.
Is it really that much? Damn.
Yeah.
It's one of those pesky insurance things, you know.
They love to make sure that you use them, but only when it's convenient to them, and
only when it's a cheap procedure.
Yeah, only when it's something that they want to do. But yeah, it's like well, this thing, and actually, technically, you gotta wait for a little bit. So it's like,
is there anything special going on at Bud Walton Arena tomorrow? Because we're sitting amongst the fans? And it's not a
Like a
white out
stripe-
or a
I
stripe
think
out or
so.
anything like that. But
think
If it
it's
is, they'll probably let us know
senior
this
day.
afternoon.
yeah,
Senior day.
senior day.
Yeah.
Put a flower, a brooch.
Hey, by the
or
way,
whatever.
speaking of senior day,
Mhm.
saw Jonas Adu at Walmart last night.
Really?
Yeah, the one on MLK.
Did you say something to him?
No,
What do you buy?
Okay.
I don't know. I was walking
Man.
out as he was walking in, and as soon as he walked by, my mom turned around. She was like, "That has to be like an athlete, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's definitely the 7-footer walking through Walmart. Yeah, that was an athlete.
How was he moving?
He looked spry. You know,
Okay, good.
he
good.
looked like he was like going into the store to only get one item,
Oh,
and
he
he was
on a
like kind of
mission?
like annoyed, like, yeah, I got to go in here and get something real quick. So I don't know what groceries he was.
He was alone. He didn't
he
have
was
a little
alone,
baddie with him or anything.
No,
Man,
Wow.
rough.
Okay.
Was it the neighborhood market or was it big Walmart?
no, it was the big Walmart.
Okay.
That's why I'm thinking he like went in to go get a T-shirt or went in to go get something like non-grocery. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what aisle he was in, or was he just
No, I was
moving down the?
literally. We
Okay.
were like where the like literally right outside the store. Like I was exiting the store as he was going into the store.
Okay.
So
All
I
right,
saw
got
him
you.
right after the automatic doors.
I'll
Good.
probably just like ask like 8 questions about Jonas Adu at Walmart.
Yeah, I should have tailed him. I should have tailed him for sure.
You
Yeah.
probably should have. It's okay though. Yeah.
Had to get the parents.
Was
on,
he
man.
wearing a Razorback gear or is he thinking about maybe transferring again?
No, he was wearing Razorback gear.
Okay.
He was in the sweats. He was looking like he was on the bench. Like,
I mean, I'm just glad to see he wasn't on one of those little scooters driving around because
he's like dragging his leg.
yeah,
Yeah.
in a boot on a scooter. I mean, my goodness, man. Heartbroken Hog said God cast out John's luggage because he knew John would need United's money for the dental surgery.
Wow.
Or God just could, not wanted me to have dental surgery and I could have just kept that extra money. That would have been nice. But
Yeah, could have just kept your luggage and your teeth.
yeah, I could have done all the above. It would have been great. Would have been great. I would have enjoyed it.
John, what can you tell us about the 20-year-old 6'9" Lebanese basketball player that has Arkansas in his Final Four?
I saw that on Twitter
So did we.
and I got tagged in. I guess Joe Tipton is the one that tagged us.
Yeah.
And I saw it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to retweet this, but I'm going to let Curtis handle it because I have no idea who this kid is, but it sounds good. And he had a solid offer list and, good sized kid. So my question is he 2025 or 2026?
I guess he's for now. I
I
mean,
think he's now, right?
he's 25 years old, but no, I mean,
Does this mean we're
How
losing
can
Big
you-
C? Is
How
that
can
what it
you
means?
how can you play pro basketball overseas and then just come into college?
That's just a thing now.
I mean,
It's
I know they have those like weird like I guess like G League Ignite and stuff, but
Mhm.
like that's
Well,
crazy.
I guess it's always been something that you could do, but now that NIL is a thing,
People actually want to do it.
they're able to. Well, they can pay up. Like I know BYU got that Igor kid that we were talking
Yeah.
about at the time,
Igor.
and they had to like pay a buyout from his pro team
Yeah.
and then his NIL package to get him in. It's crazy, man.
I mean, depending on where you're playing overseas, yeah, it's probably not worth your while. Like if you're in China, stay in China and play for $2 million rather than
Seriously.
coming
and
over.
then, and then yeah, go to the draft. If you
and
wanna
don't go to
draft.
school. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
that's another thing. You don't have to take classes here.
Right. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd never heard of this kid until right before the start of the show. So I got to do my research on him. But I mean, we've been seeing a lot more of this, more than I can ever remember. But Tipton and those other guys who are like, oh, so and so who's been playing professionally in Italy or Spain or Lithuania or whatever. He's considering the college route, and these are all the schools that are on him, and these are the visits that he's taken. And I've just been waiting for Arkansas. I'm like, we
Yeah.
have a Croatian on the team. Like I know that there are connections there. What are we doing? And it's this Lebanese
Dude,
kid.
between that and the baseball team, I mean, you got the League of Nations over there
Yeah.
at the athletic
Got some
department.
Denmark tight
I
ends
mean,
too. I mean, hell,
yeah.
I mean, we need a prime minister for Razorback athletics.
Yes.
Need an ambassador or something like that. Yeah.
We do need to start sending people to different countries to scout, but also just to represent the program.
Yeah.
Get our name out there. I can't wait for when Arkansas plays in the London games. Arkansas goes plays their season basketball opener in London or something stupid like that.
That'd be
That'd be
fun.
fun.
That'd be
That
fun.
would be pretty sick. Go to like Liverpool.
Yeah,
Be cool.
I'd do that.
But
I do that
it'd be
for
fun.
sure.
They don't play basketball in the UK though, really.
Yeah, who's the best?
There's
British.
pro leagues in the UK,
Yeah.
but like I don't think there's not like prospects that come from Britain, but
Was Luol Deng?
see from
Well,
overseas?
I think he wound up playing for one of those
Interesting.
European teams as opposed to somewhere else. I don't
You
know.
know, as
whatever.
nasty as Canada.
Canada.
The Canadian team is always nasty. maybe Arkansas needs to just start there because I mean
Yeah.
Canada's been producing like
Did you
crazy.
see the Canadian coffee shop that erased Americano and put Canadiano?
I don't think I did.
Because they're mad at us for the tariffs or whatever.
Oh wow! I
Yeah.
thought they were mad about the hockey game. But they won that one.
They
Man,
did
that
win
one
the
too.
second one. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll give them credit for that. Let me ask you guys this real quick, and then we can wrap it up. I was gonna play the clip from Sam Pittman where whether it was the GM talk or the spring portal window, where he's just freaking out about revenue sharing and how the collectives aren't going to be a thing because you can't just say, hey, I'll pay you X amount of money out of the collective anymore, because it's going to have to go in front of that committee who will then decide what said player's value is, whatever. All right. So like caps, I mean, you can't overpay for players if all this stuff gets passed. It's not the case right now.
Mhm.
Is this a good, if it happens and it impacts basketball, is this a good or a bad thing for Arkansas basketball? Because on one hand, like, you wouldn't have the John Tyson funny money to necessarily throw around, but on the other hand, it's still John Calipari, right? Like, he's still an elite recruiter, but you can't overpay. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to decide in my mind if it's a good thing or a bad thing, or if it just doesn't matter. Things kind of stay the same.
You want to take this first, John?
Well, I was just going to say that like when you're talking about with John Calipari, that was going to be my thing. I'm like, dude, if you're gonna get put in that situation where suddenly being a good coach and a good recruiter matters and doesn't have to deal with your budget,
Like, your NBA
yeah, like
pedigree matters.
I'd like to
now.
have a Hall of Fame coach
Sure.
at doing that. So yes, if it goes back to where it actually is legitimately as close to level playing field, yes, I think Cal will be just fine. Because not saying that there was never any funny business over there in Kentucky, but but previously he did pretty good recruiting. So I don't think there'll be any drop off with that.
They'll still find ways to get those guys.
Yeah, they'll find ways.
And that's what I was
they'll
gonna say.
find
Whether it's
ways.
football, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball, the programs that are run the best and that are prepared for the way this thing is moving will rise to the top. And John Calipari has been in a bunch of different eras. Obviously, we can question, where he's at in his coaching career or whatever, if he's still in his prime or whatever. But he finds a way to get ahead. He finds a way to recruit at a high level no matter what. And so I think teams they're still going to be, regardless of what the structure is, teams are still going to spend more money than other teams. It just might not be on the level that it was before. And so I think John Calipari is always going to be a big spender in the portal no matter what. And he's always going to have these connections with whoever the hell the top prospects are. He's always going to be kissing babies and, taking pictures with grandma and doing all that stuff. He's going to still have the connections. He's still going to be the last Corleone.
Yes, he is. Orkenstein said Canada's still mad about Terrence and Phillip.
That's true.
I know you know about that,
Like
John.
South Park.
Yeah. Blame Canada. Blame Canada.
Oh, man, that's pretty good. This is great. Every time we come out here at Alumni Hall, we just have a lot of fun, man.
It's awesome, man.
We really do. We really do. Been a good day out here. You guys, I mean, all right, it's time for the freaking weekend, like it's Friday afternoon. Final thoughts, vibes going into the weekend.
What
How
does
we
that guy
feeling?
say? What does the governor say? He's like, we've turned off our computers.
Yeah.
We've locked up our vans.
Never look when you're poor.
Exactly. I feel great. I mean, I feel pretty good. The weather, anytime the weather's good outside and,
it's nice,
and you
man.
can walk around and feel good, it's always going to help. Excited to go over to Baum. Excited to watch some basketball tomorrow. It's going to be a good weekend. It's going to be a 4-0 weekend, and it's going to be more than that if you count some of these other ones.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on campus.
There's a lot going on campus for sure. John, anything you need to get off your chest, buddy? Besides the tan?
Apparently. Hey, do you guys know who Kid Cudi is?
Oh yeah.
I've been having that song just replaying in my mind ever since then. Of just now when the sun come up, I'll be there to say what up in the morning. Brush my teeth, find that clip I've been looking for this last night. I feel so caught up in the bud. Like, that's how it is. It's just like, it's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful song, and you just got to wake up in the morning and do the things you need to do and enjoy it and be up and away. And if anybody tries to bring you down, whatever. It's going to be a great weekend, great Razorback weekend, Razorback baseball, Razorback basketball. We're going to have great things happening in Alumni Hall because they got so many things you can come out here and buy and get you ready for the Razorback weekend and the springtime. I mean, they got it all. And so I missed the majority of the show, but appreciate them always having us out here. It's awesome. It's great. I can't wait. Neato, gang. My teeth are gone. Thank the Lord, because I am no longer in pain, at least for the current state of things. So
just an elite closing to the show by John Neighbors. I mean, he came in. We were starters, mid relief. John came in here and closed it down. That was fantastic.
Yeah,
So we're out of here.
That first person up there slapped me like I was Nick Cronin,
Yeah.
or not Nick Cronin,
Cronin.
Matt Cronin, and like just slapped me. Yeah, he probably gets slapped too, but yeah, came running in. I was ready for it, man. I was ready.
I love it. Well, hey, we appreciate everyone for tuning in and rocking with us. As always, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do that. Inside Arkansas. Also, find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever. We're going to get out of here. You guys enjoy your weekend. For Andrew Ellis, John Neighbors, former Tooth, I'm Curtis Wilkerson. We'll catch you guys next time. Everybody have a good weekend.